Welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. Orwatt Jr.
Welcome to episode number 73 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Orwatt Jr. It is April 17th, 2023, and for this feature, I have Phil Lewis, lead singer of the 80s hard rock band LA Guns, as my special guest. During this interview, Phil talks about LA Guns' current record, Black Diamonds, his opinion on Motley Crue, his working relationship with LA Guns lead guitarist and founding member Tracii Guns, past band history, and much, much more. So here he is, Phil Lewis of LA Guns. Before we get started, please subscribe to the Rock Interview Series. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rock Interview Series. And look who we have here today. The coolest looking rock star on the planet, the best vocalist in the world, Mr. Phil Lewis. Phil?
Hey, Tommy. How you doing, man? It's
very good.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you for being a guest on the Rock Interview Series.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I've been wanting to interview you for a long time. Been a fan since pretty much day one. So what I'd like to do today is, of course, I want to talk about your brilliant rock and roll masterpiece that you released on April 14th, 2023. Yeah. A few days ago, called Black Diamonds. I'm going to talk about that and, of course, go back and talk about the early parts of your career. Bet. So let's first talk about Black Diamonds. So holy shit, Phil. This is an incredible record. I mean, it's just riffs galore, great songs. Your vocals are incredible. I mean, it must be gratifying to have this one under your belt at this point in your career.
We're very happy with it. We're happy with the way it turned out. We're happy with the various styles. We're happy that everybody was involved in the writing, the creation of it. It's been a very therapeutic record. I got to say, following the record before that, the Checkered Past, which was recorded under incredibly challenging conditions, circumstances, during the lockdown, during the plague, and we recorded an entire album remotely. At no point ever were we in the same room, and it blows my mind to think that we still managed to put a good record together, because we'd already committed to recording it, and we'd sort of started before the pandemic hit. But when it hit, it was like, well, you still got to do this record. So it was just a question of us getting up to speed on, it was just getting a laptop and an interface. But, it was a big learning curve for me to the file exchange. And I know we're not talking about the record the question. It's an important part of how brilliant Black Diamonds was after making a record under such very difficult, challenging conditions, to going the complete opposite of that, to being sweating together in a room, writing together, laughing and arguing, and nicely, not like no aggro, but like discussing and recording guitar parts and bass parts on a tour bus. And I felt 17 again. I felt so liberated after the stifling conditions of the Isolation Boulevard record. I would like to have called it. It was the weirdest fucking. I hope we don't have to do it again. I'm proud that we did. I'm proud that I could record all my own vocals, engineer them, and exchange files. the file exchanging part was the hardest part. The singing I can take care of, but so yeah, this one, I mean, it all came back to life, and it just feels, for me, it just feels so live. It just feels so like now and in the moment, and not a digitally created mosaic.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a rock and roll feel. I like the diversity of it too. I mean, there's a lot of, like you mentioned, there are a lot of different styles on it.
Yeah,
I hear a lot of like Led Zeppelin inspired riffs.
No, I don't believe that. I find that incredibly hard to believe. You know what I say? I say it's the best Zeppelin record they never made.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure.
Right.
It
And
is,
that's what
yeah.
I say that's what I tell Tracii. I said, it's the best thing Zeppelin never made. He's, oh, I'm stealing that. We are such disciples, Zeppelin disciples, and not just Zeppelin, but 70s vinyl. Um, that was, that's what we grew up with, and that's how I learned to sing. I'd buy the record and I'd put the record on and I'd read the lyric sheet and I'd sing along. And it didn't matter what it was. It could be like Deep Purple and rock, Jesus Christ Superstar. It could be, um, anything. I mean, Sabbath. I sang along with a lot of Sabbath, Humble Pie, and I never had a singing lesson in my life.
Wow.
I didn't need to because I was taught by the best. I just like sit there and it was just such a wonderful ritual, hobby, passion of mine to play my records loud, and scream along reading the lyrics. And I think that shows that's what we are. And we're starting to get this younger generation are starting to do the same thing. They're done with the American Idol. They're done with the kind of. There's some young, really driven, young rock musicians coming up that make me incredibly proud, and it makes me incredibly proud that they are so. They love the band. That's fantastic. That's a great compliment to have from somebody from 16 to 80, 14 to 80. That's a great age bracket, and we'll take that. I'd hate to be just a demographic of 18 to 24-year-old girls. I'm not in it for that. I would hate that. It'd be a nightmare. There were times that, I had a bit of that, when we went over to Japan the first few times. And screaming so loud they couldn't hear the music. They didn't care about the music. And I said, well, where are the dudes? Where are the men? It was like, you're not that kind of. And it's like, come on. Really? And because, like the girls loved the glam look and everything. But for the boys, the Japanese boys, they wanted like Metallica and Megadeth. And, we were a little bit too cheery for them. So I didn't really enjoy that very much. I like a good mixed crowd at our gigs, different age groups, as many different sexes would like to come.
Yeah. But back to Black Diamonds. Do you think now with everyone being able to stream music and it being easier for people to get the music as opposed to before? I mean, you got to buy the
Yeah,
record
yeah.
to listen to it. Do you feel as an artist, even though you're probably not compensated the same way? Well, I know you're not, but I mean, do you think it's a better situation for you to have more people able to get easy access to your music as opposed to before where everyone had to buy it?
God forbid they had to buy it.
I know. Can you imagine?
No, really? You can't buy music? What the fuck? You got to buy air next. What the fuck's going on? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a futile endeavor. Um, and it's not why we're doing it. It's depressing, to do something that's. I wish this record was coming out instead of Cocked and Loaded. It's better than Cocked and Loaded.
Oh, I agree.
Um, but that's just the hand you're dealt, and you either play the game or you don't. And we choose to play the game because we actually enjoy it, and we enjoy the process of writing, recording, of being creative and original and coming up with new ideas because it makes us happy. And but the money's pitiful. I'll put it to you like this: when we were recording Cocked and Loaded, we had four studios on the go in Hollywood at the same time, consecutively. And each of these studios, the cheapest of these studios, was $300 an hour.
Wow.
Because we were under a time constraint, or that's the way the producers wanted to do it. The money we spent was astronomical. I mean, it was just insane. We spent more on catering, making Cocked and Loaded, than we did recording the last 4 post-reunion records.
Wow.
We spent more on fucking lobster than we did recording these last 4 records. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Because we were selling something. We were selling a product, and the only way you could hear, I mean, you know, you could make a cassette, and then after a while you could make your own CD. But once streaming came in, and everyone just assumed, well, oh, okay, music's free now. It's fucked us big time. So, you know, it's all right. We most 90% of our money's live, and because we make such good records, we have great attendance. So I can't complain. You know, it definitely benefits our live attendance. The fact that we are not just playing the nostalgia card, and I think that's a lot of the reason why we're getting younguns and people that have been around for a long time, because it's always interesting, and you know, we always put on a good show, and you never really know what you're going to get because we've got such an amazing catalog. The tricky part is, to be honest, with all these like great new songs that we've done post reunion, is how to fit them in, where to fit them in, and you know, because we've still got to play the Nuggets, you've still got to play Ballad of Jane, still got to play Sex Action, Electric Gypsy. You know, it's unthinkable for us to do a gig, and people would be pissed if we didn't do that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a juggling act, but I'll take it over going out same old any day.
Yeah, that's what my point was, that, you know, I think that streaming may translate into higher attendance, and you being exposed to more of a different demographic. I mean, because people can just like flip through their phones and find it. So I think
it's just not fair though. Gigs should be free too. I mean, let's face it, if music's free, then it should be fucking free to go and see the band, right?
You mean,
I mean,
it shouldn't be $10,000 to see them in the second row? You don't agree with that?
No, it should be absolutely fucking free to go and see a giant screen with a bunch of geezers miming to a track that they did in the studio. Now that's a great night out.
Right.
Right?
I wonder who you're insinuating about when you make that statement. Interesting.
I wish I was incinerating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
You know,
what
I always start. I say, hi, boys and girls. We're LA Guns. Unfortunately, our digital equipment is broken down, and the laptop's on the fritz. So tonight we're going to have to play 100% live. I hope you're going to be all right with that. Whoa!
Yeah, I mean, you can tell when a band plays live. I mean, I guess I'll say the Motley Crue thing, that was really the worst kept secret in rock and roll. Did you know about what?
People don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Do
but
you think they're not going for the music, Tom? You know, the stadium tour, none of that was about the music. It was about, you know, like the communion, the getting together, and the nostalgia, and the this and the that. Hadn't fuck all to do with the music. And I honestly, I think most of these people wouldn't really care. They care now because it's snowballed into
right.
this big scandal. But if you'd have told them back then, you know, they're miming, right? It's just a big screen with them miming in front of it. Yeah, it's Motley fucking Crue, have a beer. They don't care.
Yeah, but it's
They
gotta
don't.
suck for a band like LA Guns, where you go out there and you like play your asses off every night. I mean, do you
Yeah,
ever think
I
like
know.
it?
I know. I wish I could have canned vocals. I'd love that, you know. And I just up there, and I could do all the moves then, and I could wear what I want because I wouldn't be too hot, and it'd be fantastic. But Tracii says no.
You wouldn't allow that. I know you better than that. There's no way Phil Lewis would do that ever.
I wouldn't mind it some nights. After like 8 in a row, it'd be like, oh well, yeah, I could see that. No, it's incorrigible, isn't it? It really is. It's such a swindle. But you know, it's probably a lot better. I mean, they'd probably sound like utter shit if they were live, and you know, with the big stadium and the big lights and Vince singing in the way that we've come to know and love. They really are a fucking atrocious band. They always have been. And the only good player, the only good one in the band, has been very unceremoniously dismissed. And it's I never liked them. I never did. I've never bought one of their records. I loathe girls. That whole, you know, I hated all of it. I didn't. I mean, occasionally, I caught the attention of Nicky, and he doesn't like me. I'm a sad little pumpkin. Is what he thinks about me. I just find him to be a big fraud, and you know, it's just like a million somebody that it's a punishment of luxury. Somebody that became a millionaire at such an early age that they never really developed social skills. They never. It's you know, like taking a bird out of a nest when it's not ready to fly. It won't develop. And I don't think he really that any of them, the three of them, aren't very well socially developed. They're not very good. And Nick's a different category entirely because he was so much older before success. Success can be a punishment quite often, and in their case, it must just be so painful right now, having been idolized for so long, and now to be called out as frauds, essentially as a instrument holding mini Vanilli, as a disgrace. They've got to be hurting real bad. And do they? I don't know. You know, they made a lot of people happy. As I said, a lot of people couldn't care less. They just want to go there, have a good time, drink beer, and be with their buddies. We're just not that kind of a band. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. And as I'm saying it, I can see how it's going to be interpreted and taken out of context. But that's my
I doubt that.
No, not by you. No, definitely not by you.
I know what you're saying, right? Yeah, as soon as this hits the airwaves. Well, let me just ask you this. It'll be the last like Motley Crue related question because we really got off the topic here. But if you were offered like $50 million to join Motley Crue, would you consider it for the money and do it?
You know, I would never get that offer, but they really fucked up when they went with John 5 and not Tracii Guns. And I'm glad they did, obviously. But he is not the right fucking fit at all. And Tracii would just be so perfect. He's like the Motley. He's like Hollywood. He's the brat. He's a brat like them. He's just like the next generation down, and it would have been such an incredibly good fit. But Tracy's not trendy, or it's got to be fucking Rob Zombie's guy, or it's got to be Lenny Kravitz's wife or ex-girlfriend. You know, it's got to be trending. It's got to be somebody incredibly important, and it gives them a sense of importance. And as I said, I'm glad they fucked up and they didn't. They should have got Tracii. And would I take it? Hell yeah, I'd take it. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And you were singing the
all I gotta do is get on stage and mime and wiggle my ass and wear whatever I want. Yeah, 50 mil. Come on, let's go.
You're there. All right, cool. Well, I don't even know where to go now from this. So what about LA Guns tour dates? I know you have some on the West Coast, but you guys gonna hook up with, do a co-headliner or do anything in the summer like out here on the East Coast?
We're in the process of new infrastructure. We have new management. We have a new agent. We've started this year very much with a whole new attitude and as I said, infrastructure. So that is, it takes a little while for it to get up to speed and get into place. We're out. We did some local shows last weekend. We played the Whiskey. We played Mesa, Arizona. Two, like album release party nights. So we've done like the south part of the West Coast, and next couple of weeks we're going to go up to Northern California and do like Fresno and Concord and San Francisco, and then we're going to venture over in June. We're going to do we're going to do a run, an East Coast run, starting in Ohio. I don't think it's part of a package. I think it's pretty much our own shows, but it will be a run. It won't just be a bunch of dates and then we fly home. It will be out for like 2 or 3 weeks. Nothing like last summer's campaign across the East Coast of America.
Right. In the dead of the heat.
God, man, it was crazy. I haven't toured like that since my late 20s. Out on tour for like 3 months, solid like that. And it scared the fuck out of me, to be honest, because it was such a lot of work. I wasn't paying attention when they showed me the itinerary. I just saw June and July. I didn't think it was going to be all of June and all of July. That's because I don't pay attention. And it ended up being most of August too. So yeah, that was a lot of work and something I hadn't done in a long time. And I'm real proud of the band and myself getting through that. I'm in no hurry to do it again. It's just the way it worked out, because we won on the Sonic Slam tour with Tom Kiefer.
Yeah.
And he would go, most of the shows we would do, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, were with Tom. But, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the midweek stuff, we were doing our own shows. So we were working constantly, and under some quite challenging conditions that made it challenging. I'm so proud of us for getting through. And while we were doing that, as I said, we were recording this great record, and it's the music that binds us, and all the challenges. Being in a band, having a partner, there's constant challenges. But if you love what you're doing, and you love who you're doing it with, even if you don't always like them,
yeah,
then why rock the boat? Why change anything? It's just, I'm having fun. We're making great music. And we did, Tracii and I, we had a feud, 15-year feud. And honestly, we're making up for lost time. And we've learned so much. We know each other's boundaries so much better than we did. And we're doing great. It's like, we're lucky. We're really lucky to be where we are. So we're doing our best not to fuck it up.
There was a rumor though that back a few months ago, or maybe a little while back, you actually considered leaving the band because of a management change.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a rumor. That was true. That's what I said to Eddie Trunk. And that's me, being really honest again. As I said, the tour had challenges. And one of those challenges, a big challenge, was that my brother Tracii was going through a horrendous breakup with his wife, and they have a kid, just a baby. They just had a baby, and it was apparent to Tracii and to all of us that the ship was going down while we were on tour. And that is being on the road is a tough place when you're going through those kind of emotions. But we were on the road, and we were aware of his situation, and we were brothers, and we were as supportive as we could be, and we got him through it. There were times when it was just so difficult that he was just so beaten up that at one point he had to resort to playing in a toilet off stage because he was in so much pain because of this. And we can say, oh, it was really hot and it was really sunny, but we played hot a gig, we played sunny a gig. It was just an excruciatingly painful time for him. And well, it was things like that that really strained the relationship between Tracii and the band's manager, Scotty. And Scotty was the band's manager when I agreed to do the reunion. And he was a big part of the reason I agreed to do the reunion, because he got his shit together, and yet he believed in the band, and I liked him as a person, and he had skin in the game. He was putting his money into it on good faith, and I admire that. But it just got so rough between the relationship because, as I said, Scotty was already Tracii's manager when I agreed to the reunion. So they've been working together a long time prior to that. And it all was just too much for Scotty. And it was just like, there were times he was going to quit because the relationship had soured so much. And I really begged him. I said, please don't go. Don't go. You're a big part of the reason why I joined the band. And he held on for as long as he could. But, it came to a head, push come to a shove. It was inevitable. It was going to happen. And it happened. And it freaked me out. It really did. And it upset me. It made me sad. And it made me wonder if Tracii could pull this off. Scotty quit, but Tracii wasn't falling over himself to try and get him back. It was pretty much what he wanted. And I was, I had my doubts whether we could continue without him. As it happened, it was like the day before we were supposed to play out here in Vegas. City of Lights, folks. Well, I said, if Scotty's leaving, I don't think that we have anything. And I said, well, if you can prove to me that you can get your asses out of LA to Vegas for the 2 shows we have booked this weekend, I'll definitely be there, because that's in my DNA. If I've got a gig, I'm there. I don't miss gigs. It's just inconceivable to me. And somehow or other, they made it. They came out, they made it, and I went and did the gig. I didn't sound check. I didn't want to be around. It was just such an uncomfortable feeling. I went to the gig. I showed up 10 minutes before the show, went on stage, and we started playing, and sounded fucking amazing. It sounded so good. And it just such a great reaction, such a great crowd. And it was just like, the band is bigger than something. It's bigger than that. And that I learned was the most important thing. And people will come and people will go. And things are going to change. But as long as it's me and Tracii, and there's something tangible to deliver, and by God, do we deliver that night, and do we deliver every night? It's hard to walk away from. And I'm sorry, and I miss Scotty, and we're still friends, and we get it now. Tracii's a very emotional, impulsive person, and he's not always that acute, aware of other people's feelings. Sometimes I have to do a little bit of mopping up, but fortunately, everything's cool. Scotty's cool. I'm cool. The band's still going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was the bump. It happens, it's a relationship. It's bound to happen.
Yeah, you and Tracii are like the dynamic duo. I mean, you have to be together. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing the music that you put out
I
over the
know. And
years.
nobody makes me work harder. As I said, I love him like a brother, but I don't always like him, and he doesn't always like me. But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than us. It's this band, and it's been both his and my salvation for decades, and it'd be really dumb of us to fuck that up.
Yeah, and LA Guns have had many members over the years. Is
Oh yeah, just I think we got the record. I think we're into the 60s now.
yeah, yeah. Is there any one particular member that you really, really miss working with?
Well, I miss Adam. I miss having Adam on tour because he was such a blast to be with, and he
He
can do
played drums on
anything.
this record and
Yeah,
produced it. Yeah.
yeah, he did. Well, Tracii actually gets the production credit, but Adam played the drums and heavily involved in the writing, and just an all-around great guy. And I would love to have him out with us, but he's a producer now, and a producer's a studio cat, and he's a home guy, a family guy, and that the touring life isn't for him anymore. But he every now and then he pops out. He like if we need someone, guitar player or bass player, somebody can't make it. He's the first person we call, and when he does come out, it's just lovely. I just love having him because he's such a dear friend. We laugh a lot, and so yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of really cool cats that we played with. Shane Fitzgibbon, love him. He was a big part of me agreeing to the reunion. Lovely guy, brilliant drummer, incredible musician, and just amazing. So yeah, Tracii's got a knack of finding the people, finding the right people, good people, and I've always admired that about him. So yeah, along the way, we've had some pretty incredible, some great help along the way.
Yeah, I want to go back to the first LA Guns record briefly, and it was released like 6 months after Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, and
Yeah.
everybody knows that Tracii was in Guns N' Roses for like a quick minute. Did it bother Tracii at all that Guns N' Roses became so popular? Did you find Guns N' Roses' success more as like a motivational thing, or was it more of like an annoyance to you guys?
Well, okay. First of all, to call Guns N' Roses successful is such an extreme understatement. What they were was a phenomenon. They were a worldwide phenomenon, and that just goes beyond success. That's just a completely different entity. That's like the difference between a million and a billion. Um, and yeah, it must have affected him for it to blow up like that, being a founding member of that band and choosing to walk away. It was his choice before they became phenomenal, and he wasn't to know that that they were going to happen. It was just another one of like several bands that he was involved in. He was involved in all kinds of different projects back then, but that was the one that hit the mega jackpot. And having the founding member of that phenomenon as the main guy in LA Guns in our band, that yeah, I mean they're out there selling 18 million records, so it's hard to get enthusiasm, to drum up enthusiasm when you've only sold 750,000 records. Can you imagine selling 750,000 now?
Oh, you'd be number one on the charts for weeks with
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. But that was where we were at. It did. Our first record did go gold, which is 500,000. But it took a while, and yeah, there was all the comparisons and Polygram. That didn't help. Saying stupid shit, posting ads in Variety and whatever papers were. saying, "Look out, GNR, LA Guns is on your tail," and you know, we never agreed to that, you know, and it made us look really ridiculous. It was a terrible bit of marketing to do that, to threaten them with, you know, measly, you know, like a measly gold album. It was, yeah, and of course it didn't really end well with Tracii and those guys. So there's, even to this day, there's no love lost between them. So yeah, it's certainly a bone of contention.
When you look back at the first like, 3 LA Gun records, if you could go back and change anything in particular about those 3 releases, or you know,
Yeah,
what would it be?
I'll tell you what it would be. I'll tell you exactly what it would be. It would be, instead of the debut album, where I'd put The Devil You Know, instead of Cocked and Loaded, I'd put the Checkered Past, and instead of Hollywood Vampires, I'd put this new one. I'd put Black Diamonds. I wish we had this band. I wish we had these songs back then. Unfortunately, it was such a democracy back then that it became very diluted, and there was a lot of politics involved. Oh, well, he's got 3 songs and I've only got 1 song on it, and all that bullshit. We don't have that no more. So the writing is so much more streamlined and focused, and without hurting people. So, well, the drummer hasn't got a single song on the record. You know, none of that.
Yeah.
None of that now. So I just feel that it's so much more focused. I'm not saying that I don't love those records. I do, but I love these new ones more.
Yeah. I mean, I hope, you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, are a little resistant to listen to newer music. I mean, when a band says, "Oh, we're gonna play a new song," I mean, you know, some fans run to the bathroom, which I never understood. I mean, for some of the bands, yeah.
Well, we played 2 new songs on the last few shows. We played "You Betray."
Great song. That's a lead off track.
Yeah,
the
the one that kind of has that immigrant song kind of a vibe. The one with the kooky vocals on it. And that went down well. It's a good song. It's short. There's no reason for it to be boring or difficult to understand. And then we did Diamonds, and I proceed Diamonds with a little audience participation, because you know, that chorus it's so epic that there are certain sections when we were creating it that I could just hear in my head this crowd response. So I start off the song by teaching them what I want them to sing halfway through the song. I say, it's only going to come through once, and it goes like this. And I sing it, and I make them sing it a couple of times, and then we start the song. And I point out, I say, look, when we come to it, I'm going to give you the eye, and it, oh, it was amazing.
It is an amazing song. I mean, I can't wait to hear it live.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's great.
Whole record
it's epic. Yeah,
the whole record. Also, the song "Shattered Glass." You made a video for that, and that video is such a cool video. You guys look so cool in it, and it kind of has kind of like a Rolling Stone vibe to it, also. And it is such a great song. So I hope that's another song that you add to your.
You were certainly considering it. You know, we're not big on making videos. You know, we do it. It's a necessary evil. The label likes us to do it, and we just make the best of it. I had a lot of fun doing the video for Cannonball, dressing up as a pirate and the sword and all of that, the swashbuckle. I always try and think of a theme, as a vibe, for each song, each video. And you know, for Shattered Glass, I just wanted us to just be lads, you know, just guys, just doing our thing, you know, not trying to be rock stars, not trying to be frilly or fancy or you know, super good looking, just guys, how we might show up to rehearse. And yeah, I like that. You know, the video for Diamonds is so much more an epic song. It needed a little bit more effort visually than a song like Shattered Glass. But you know, I think we do all right with our video. It's not something we especially look forward to doing. It's always a relief when you look back and you go, oh, that wasn't, I don't look too awful in it.
No, you look great in that video. That's the thing about LA Guns is you always have that cool image, you know,
That's great.
right
Thank
from
you.
the very beginning of it. All right, Phil. Well, I wanted to say, man, you're a fun interview. I wish everyone I interviewed was as fun as you.
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed talking to you, and you know, you were right. What you said is, hurry up and get back, because it was going to be a much more fun interview, and it certainly has been.
Well, thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Tom.
Can I just get one last question, and super quick? Have you ever considered writing a book about your life?
You know, I was thinking about writing a book, and I was going to do a good one. I was going to do a salacious one, 100% truth. But after seeing what happened to Steven Tyler and many people, many rockers, it can really come back and bite you in the ass. So I'm not as enthusiastic about that idea as I may have been a year or so ago. To answer your question.
Yes. Okay.
You got to be careful nowadays, you know.
Oh yeah.
Things, you know, like I you know, as I grew up in the 80s, and it was a very different time. Things were different. Things were acceptable back then that are completely unacceptable now. And I don't want to get the attention of the wrong people. And for what? To sell a few thousand copies of a book? It's not worth it.
I understand. All right, Phil. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
I hope you get out to
Thanks,
Buffalo,
Tom.
New York sometime
Pleasure
soon.
talking to you.
All right. Take it
Look
easy,
forward
Phil.
to seeing you.
All
Come and see us. Bye.
I definitely will. Bye.